This episode is sponsored by the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. July's featured entertainment includes Mammoth WVH on the 19th and Danae Hayes on the 20th. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Also enjoy complimentary beverages when playing with your Penn Play card. Visit the Penn Play Center to sign up. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Country crossover star Sam Hunt brings his Locked Up tour to Jiffy Lube Live in Virginia this Friday night. He joined me to preview the show and break down his biggest hits, from Take Your Time to House Party, from Body Like a Back Road to Outskirts. Hey, Sam Hunt. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on WTOP here in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. Good to chat with you. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Where are you calling us from today?
I am in Nashville. Technically, I guess about 30 minutes south of Nashville in Franklin. Hanging out at the house this morning.
Love it. Well, thanks for making time with us over some coffee or something.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking because you're coming to Jiffy Lube Live here in Virginia, just outside of the Beltway here. It's going to be this Friday, July 12th, and we're calling it the Locked Up Tour. I guess named after, obviously, the newest album, Locked Up, with Outskirts is burning up the radio off of that album. But is it going to be like that album in its entirety, or is it like a mix of the new songs with the greatest hits sprinkled in, I'm sure?
The show itself, it'll be, there'll be some new songs, some songs that have been out for a while. A lot of Montevallo heavy set, I'd say. But yeah, playing some new songs, and the arrangements a little different. So we're really still working out the set. We've only played 3 shows so far this summer with the new set, so we're still tweaking and changing. But we'll kind of do that as we go.
Oh, cool! So we get to see a relative. We're like we're in the first handful of shows here on the tour. That's great.
Yeah, it's sort of a working project a little bit, but. But we play these songs so much, it's not too experimental. It's just a matter of, what to put where and the dynamic of the set itself. But I think it's coming together. We had a good run out west this past week.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to get into some of those Montevallo hits and all your other stuff too. But real quick, I love to keep it with the new stuff at the beginning. So how happy are you to see Outskirts doing so well? I mean, personally speaking, it's catchy as hell. But are you? How pleased are you that it's catching on?
Oh, I'm very excited. It sort of had a slow burn. We put it out last year, but in the last, I guess, 3 months, it's really caught a lot of steam and done well at radio. So I am tickled that it made it to the top of the charts. It's 10 years in. It's pretty cool to still be having songs do well at radio.
Absolutely. Well, whenever I have someone on, I always like to remind everyone sort of how you got started in this racket to begin with. I know you're in Nashville now, but you were born in Georgia boy, in 84. Hey, that's my birth year too, 84. All right, we're the same age. But what all did you listen to growing up in Georgia? What who were your country idols, or otherwise, if it was rock or whatever?
Yeah. I was music was always around. I didn't have necessarily an artist that I was specifically drawn to. I listened to a lot of what was on the radio because my parents they didn't have records in the house or anything like that. So we just listened to what would be on the way back and forth to church, school, or baseball practice. And that was, Alan Jackson, Garth Brooks, Travis Tritt, Randy Travis, all those people. So that was when I was younger. And then as I got older, the internet came along and I started to discover some old, Otis Redding and some R&B music. I grew up around Atlanta, so a lot of R&B music, Usher and R. Kelly in those days, and then a lot of gospel as well. Growing up around the church, a lot of Southern gospel, bluegrass. So sort of a mixture.
When you say the internet came along, do you mean MySpace or Napster or the wild west of LimeWire sharing files we probably shouldn't have been in college?
Yeah, the wild west of free music.
I'm glad they got
Exactly.
for folks like yourself now. I'm glad they got sort of the rules and regulations. But back then, it was just like, let's burn mixtapes, mix
Oh
CDs.
yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
You mentioned baseball
Absolutely.
practice, but you wanted to do football. You had dreams of being like a quarterback. Like you were a Wendy's High School Heisman nominee, and you played QB at Middle Tennessee State, transferred to UAB, even tried out for the Kansas City Chiefs briefly. So talk to me
Hmm.
about the. I used to ball myself, but I was more of an outside
Nice.
linebacker. But how what talk about the shift from the throwing the pigskin to picking up the guitar.
Yeah, I was dabbling with the guitar in college and just kind of tinkering around like a lot of college kids do. And I really fell in love with the writing side of it, trying to write songs. And they were all, just sort of like 6-minute verses back then. But I was, using it as an outlet to express, I guess, whatever those feelings I was feeling and tell some stories. And it was sort of like a musical journal, I guess. But a few years passed and I, graduated from college and the real world was coming on fast. And I wanted to go to Nashville and see what Music City was all about. I had no idea how I could fit in. I didn't at that time think that I necessarily could be an artist, but I discovered this whole songwriting community and kind of got some footing as a songwriter those first few years. So that was how I got my start in Nashville. But it was
Yeah,
a
I wanted to know about the songwriting, like you're saying, and that's why we respect you as an artist. Well, I don't want to say more than others, but I'm gonna say it. There's great ones that just
well,
sing, but if you can write stuff too, it just elevates you in my mind. So you moved to Nashville in like '08, and you get in that songwriting community, like you're saying, and you're writing. Let me
mm-hmm,
list a couple. You wrote Come Over, Come Over, Come Over for Kenny Chesney. You wrote
mm-hmm,
Cop Car for Keith Urban. You wrote We Are Tonight for Billy Currington. You wrote Love Somebody for Reba. I mean, talk about you're writing for legends here. But yeah, memories of those days. Like, how do you even get hooked up with those folks? Like, are you in like a writing room with other people? Or yeah, pull the curtain back on how
mm-hmm.
that even works. Because a lot of our listeners, they hear the songs, they don't realize the whole writing community.
Yeah, that's right. There's a whole group of people behind the scenes that are writing songs for artists that are on the radio, and over the last since country music's been around, there've been songwriters behind the scenes writing songs for the folks singing on the radio. A lot of artists write their own songs or collaborate with writers on songs, but I fell in with some talented folks, and we all kind of came up together. We were all struggling songwriters, and we signed sort of these publishing deals that allowed us not to have another job, even though it didn't pay very much. It was enough to pay our rent and pay for the groceries and keep our time free to write as much as we could. So that was what I did for about 2.5 years, and just got better and better, or got, I guess, more knowledgeable, and started honing what I was trying to do and finally started catching some traction after about 2.5 years.
I love it. Yes, and that traction includes you actually getting signed with MCA Nashville in 2014 to actually put a album out under your name. As great as it is writing for Kenny and Keith and Reba, I mean, it's nice to finally step out into the stage and spotlight yourself for Montevallo, the first album. And dude, there's a ton of number one songs on the album. I mean, Leave the Night On was huge out of the gate. House Party obviously is just a great party song. But tell me about Take Your Time, because A, it was huge, but B, I love sort of it was unique in the way that you sort of would talk the lyrics, like in a speaking voice. You'd be like, I didn't mean to bother you, but, and then you'd
Yeah.
melodically go into, I couldn't just walk by and not say hi. What was the idea to sort of mix the spoken word and then go off into the melodic stuff?
Yeah, I was just experimenting and picking on the guitar and sort of, I guess, stream of conscious, trying to talk lyrics, just sort of speak out what the lyrics should be instead of trying to sing it over a melody. And it it came out in a sort of this rhythmic way, and then I just experimented with it. And at first I didn't think, necessarily that it had any potential. I was just trying to flesh out what the idea should be for the verse, not necessarily talk during the verse, or whatever you want to call it. But
Right.
I started doing it in front of a couple of my writing buddies, and they were like, "You should just do that. Don't try to fit it into a verse melody. Just sort of talk, sing it, and make it musical. And I think that would work. And so anyway, I with their encouragement, I kind of took off with it, and that became sort of a little bit of a I don't know, a little bit of a niche I was able to carve out. It was I guess it was unique enough to you can't overdo it obviously, but for a couple songs it seemed to work.
Yeah, I'm all, and it was sort of an era too when country artists were kind of experimenting with sort of that, like, Jason Aldean with Dirt Road Anthem had done like a little
Mm-hmm.
rapping even before singing. But I get now that I think about it, thinking out loud, I guess it goes back to because like let's say like Hello Darling, Conway Twitty
That's
would
right.
be like would be speaking, and then Hello Darling, nice to see you, and then
Yep.
it's been a long time sings it. So I guess it has
That's
been
right.
around, a style had been around a while. But I wanted to compliment you for Take Your
Thank you.
Time.
Well, it was my own little spin on it, but you're right. It has been around for a long time. A lot of artists have done that in the past.
Yeah, I guess Johnny Cash is nothing if not speaking a lot of it.
Right. I
Anyway.
mean, he's sort of right there but somewhere between speaking and barely and sort of singing. But yeah, he's
Yeah.
really good at it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe time for. I mean, there was "Break Up in a Small Town," "Make You Miss Me" so much on that album, but maybe time for one more on that album. How? Just give me a deeper dive into "House Party." Like, that's got it? When you're writing that, there's certain songs that you're probably like, this is gonna be a deep song, and then you pivot and you're like, I need some for the shows. I need some concert bangers.
Yeah.
Is that what was in mind when you put that one together? Like this could kick off a concert.
It wasn't necessarily. I did, my tendency is to lean into mood and melancholy, so I have to force myself to write songs that are more upbeat and fun. But I didn't realize how important songs like that would be for our live show until getting out on the road and playing that song live those first couple years. I was remember being reluctant to put it on the album because it was it was I mean I don't know if you call it silly, but it was just very playful, and I hadn't necessarily attempted to sing in that voice yet, and so I
Right.
didn't know if it would work. And then I put it on the album, and it turned out to be one of the more fun songs in the live show, and now it's a staple that I couldn't imagine not having. So um I'm glad that that song came about.
Absolutely. Well, then at that point, you're a household name. You're off to the races. I think you get two Grammy nominations in 2016 for Best Country Album was one of the nominations, and then even beyond, even breaking through, transcending to all genres, you were up for Best New Artist. And what was it? Courtney Barnett, James Bay, you, Tori Kelly, and you lost to that damn Megan Trainor, All About That Bass. She got you on
Yeah.
that one, but
Yeah.
but just in general, the Grammy experience to look around, you're probably in the room with legends you grew up listening to and new contemporaries too, and you're like, wow, are you like, I finally made it?
It was. I mean, it was very special to be included in that whole deal. I've been around long enough to know how prestigious the Grammy Awards are in a world of lots of different award shows. So I was just yeah, it just made me, I felt fulfilled. When it comes to putting out a record, that first record especially, I spent a lot of time not cutting corners and dialing in every lyric and every sound and every little thing. It was a very handmade record. So, um, that's not necessarily how records are always made in Nashville, but that's how I wanted to do it. So I was glad that somebody at the, Recording Academy, those folks heard that hard work, hopefully, and, recognized it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. I let's just say I think you would have won, but they didn't want to give it to another Sam. Sam Smith had just won the year before. Otherwise, it would have been yours, baby. And Chance the
Well,
Rapper's glad that you weren't named Chance. So they the next year. So
well, those guys are so. I mean, those artists are so talented. I feel like I get by on my work ethic more than my talent. But
that's what I'm
um,
talking. You're the Intercontinental Champ. You're the working
right, yeah, there you go.
the one out there. Yeah, scrapping. I'm with you. That's what you get.
That's
You get
right.
that from the football days. I guarantee it. All
Yeah,
right. Before we bounce, we have to get to the second album, Southside, because Body Like a Back Road is probably the song you're most associated with. That thing was gangbusters. Two more Grammy nominations for that alone. I think you won like Record of the Year at the ACMs. And then in terms of like airplay, I think you like broke, what was it, Florida Georgia Line's Cruise. I think you broke their record for like the weeks atop the hot country charts or whatever. So man, like when you're writing it, you have no idea it's going to be that big. But why do you think it did work so well? Why do you think it took off like it did?
I think it was the timing of it was just right. I think it had uh, I think the character in the song and the lingo and the lyric it was culturally, it was a cultural kind of moment where that fit right into where things were moving. I think it just, in country, I don't think you necessarily hear a song like that, sort of a flirty, song with that type of lyric and that type of personality in the song. So I think it was just unique, and that helped it stand out.
Absolutely. It was everywhere that year that it came out. You couldn't get everyone in every music genre probably knew that song that year. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. It is
it
fantastic.
caught on. It was wild.
I love it. What else? Kinfolks and Hard to Forget. There's so many that we don't have time to get to, but I guess I'd be remiss if I don't mention the Ingrid Andress collab because that got another Grammy now for best country duo performance. Wishful Drinking. Memories of putting that together and the key to sort of a good duet. Like country music is riddled with great duets over history. We mentioned Conway and Loretta, but man, how and Johnny and June to say the least. But man, talk about working with Ingrid on that. I mean, that's a cool one.
Yeah, I feel I'm really grateful to Ingrid for making that happen. That she made it really easy on me. She had the song and sent it to me, and she had already put her vocal on it. And I happened to be at a writing retreat down in Florida, and I had my producer right there with me. And so when we got it and decided to be on it, it took an hour or 30, 40 minutes to sing a vocal and then send it back, and they did the rest. And next thing you know, it was on the radio doing well and got that nomination. So, um, yeah, I just feel lucky to have been included on that one.
Man, what a if folks if for some reason you haven't heard it, check that song out. But also, what a great songwriter, breaking more hearts than mine. That's a tear jerker. And
Uh,
my wife
she's
sings
great.
"Lady Like Whoa" all the time around the house. Like that's an artist right there. Watch
She
out,
is. She's very
Ingrid.
talented. Uh,
Awesome, awesome. Well, I guess that brings us back to Locked Up. What was it like putting that? I know you'd been through, I ain't gonna go into it. You've been in some personal stuff. Everyone
yeah.
can look it up. But what's it been like sort of spinning out of that and trying to get out of the legal stuff and getting back and calling it Locked Up? Is that a nod to that?
Yeah, it was just I've got 1,000 song titles in my phone. I write them down all the time. So
Yeah.
that was just the title in my phone I wanted to write. Coincidentally, I have been locked up before, so I was able to draw from personal experience a little bit. But I didn't want to tell my story necessarily.
Right.
I really wanted to write it in a way that's general and could really be, a metaphor for the night I messed up. The night I did whatever stupid thing that nearly lost me my lady. And so I try to keep the lyric loose in general, um, but it is called Locked Up. So I mean, that's the element that's pretty specific.
We
But
have to talk about it. And it is a serious issue, and I know Timberlake's going through it now, but it's we're glad to see you, back out there making music. And yeah,
oh yeah,
I'm trying not to shy away from the hard questions, but I'm trying to be respectful. Yeah.
oh shoot. I mean, I wrote the song, so it's
Yeah.
it's not like I'm trying to
Yeah.
hide from that reality. But yeah, but I didn't want the song to, like I said, I didn't want the song to be a sort of a recreation of my experience necessarily. Just
Yeah.
more or less speak to the stand by your man
Right.
attitude of your woman, and how you really don't know how much your woman loves you until you put her in a position to um, make it hard to stay, and then when she does, you really know how much she cares about you. So that was really the ethos of the song.
Very smart to tell it from that perspective. That is because that's where the humanity and the heart is, right? And it's all
Yeah,
about
right. Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to see it doing well. We're glad to see Outskirts, doing well off of that album, and it's going to be a great tour. And we really, really appreciate you joining us. And I've had a lot of fun talking with you throughout
Yeah,
this.
well, good to talk to you. I enjoyed it. You
Absolutely.
did some research. That was you took me deep.
Well, you were taking receivers deep for a long time. That's
true. That's
how we
true.
bring it full circle. Well,
Nice.
Thanks for letting me quarterback this one after all your time.
Yeah, man.
All right, everybody.
It's good to chat with you.
The great Sam Hunt, one of the great country stars that's going to be tearing up the charts for years to come. Going to be coming to Jiffy Lube Live in Virginia on Friday, July 12th. Thank you so much, Sam. I really, really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you. I appreciate the time.
All right, we'll let you get back to your coffee there in Nashville. Thanks, man. I really, really do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
All right, later.
See you, bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.